Haku Haku, welcome back to our Sisterhood Read Edition, where we are coming back to read Chapter 3, Backyard Boogie. Susie had her headphones on, listening to her favorite Carlos Santana album, Abraxas. She sat on the steps outside of her apartment. Susie smoked a bowl to unwind from another day of housework. She loved smoking bud while she allowed her mind to get lost in the music, which was easier to do when her apartment was clean and dinner was made. Isela and Lori were joking and laughing on their walk back from the candy store. The candy store was someone in the apartment complex who decided to sell candy out of their apartment. Susie spotted the two ladies, so she whistled to get their attention. The two ladies walked over to the staircase to join Susie. They hugged her and then took a seat on the steps below her. Susie asked Isela, "Would you buy me, loca?" Isela pulled out a tube of Lucas Balucas. Isela tossed the container in Susie's lap. Susie glanced down at the container in her lap and said, "Oh, hell yeah, good looking out, baby girl." Holding the pipe out to Isela, Susie offered, "Here, I'll trade you for a couple hits." Isela grabbed the piece from Susie's hand and hit it. Isela held the pipe up to Lori, silently offering Lori a hit. Lori shook her head no. Susie's mom, Lisa, pulled into their parking slot about 320 feet from where the girls were sitting. Isela put the pipe in her pocket out of respect for Lisa. Lisa got out of her car and approached the girls. The girls and Lisa greeted each other with a smile and a hello. Changing her smile to a smirk, Lisa passed the girls on the stairs and implied, "Smells good." Susie asked, "You want some?" Lisa shook her head, retorting, "Nope. But that's the kind of shit I would rather you guys do inside the pad though, 'cause ain't nothing but little snitches around here." Lisa was referring to the downstairs neighbors and the neighbors across from them who regularly called the management and cops to complain about every little thing. The girls shrugged and they slightly giggled. Susie said, "You're right, Mom. Sorry. Dinner's on the stove." Lisa nodded her head and walked into the apartment. Isela changed the subject, anxiously stating, "Oh, yeah. It went down this morning. The Judas raided and snatched up Dooms and Hueso." Lori gasped and responded, "What? Oh, man, that sucks." Feeling bad for the guys, Susie replied, "Oh, fuck, that's gacho." As she shook her head side to side, Lori asked, "Why did they gaffle them up, though?" Isela answered, "Honestly, I don't know, but I think they were mainly looking for Crimes because they went to his pad first and tore it up. Crimes wasn't home, but his mom let them in. I think Dooms and Hueso were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. I hope they get released tonight." Susie agreed. "I know. Dooms can handle himself, but poor Hueso, so skinny he might get handled, for real." Silence fell over the ladies for a couple of seconds. Susie said, "I kind of want to shake the spot. You guys want to take this session to the jungles?" The ladies agreed. Susie walked to her screen door, shouting, "Hey, Ma, I'll be back a little later." Lisa shouted back, "Please be careful." The ladies walked down the steps and over to the center of the apartment complex. On the way, they ran into Miranda, who had just finished making weed drop-offs. Miranda greeted them with hugs and kisses. The ladies invited Miranda to join them in the jungles. Miranda walked with the ladies, who each found a session on the bench where they sat talking. Did I say a session? Hold on. Miranda walked with the ladies, who each found a seat on the bench where they sat talking. I don't even know what I said. Anyways, moving on. Soon, Gabby approached the ladies. She handed a flyer to a party that would be going down that coming Friday. As she did so, Gabby exclaimed, "Te joveta, my loves. Check this out. It sounds like a good time, que no? Let me know if you fine-ass females are down to roll up." Susie read the flyer. She scrunched her shoulders, saying, yeah, I don't see why not." Susie passed the flyer to her right-hand side. Lori grabbed it, and after scanning it, she agreed to go too. Lori offered the flyer to her right-hand side. Isela looked to see who was hosting it, replying with excitement, "Oh, hell yeah! Hosted by my prima Stella's party crew? I'm definitely there." Miranda was the only one who opted out. Susie remarked, Miranda, come on. It's always more fun when you roll." Miranda uttered, "Seriously, I would love to go, but I haven't got to see much of Miguel lately. I just want to chill with him at home. Maybe I'll catch you guys at the next time around." Gabby added, "Well, booty you not going, but family does come first." She then looked over to Susie, asking, "We can take my car if not, but do you think we could roll up in the van since the Lolo is out of the question?" Susie answered, "I mean, as long as it's running right, yeah, should be fine." Gabby snapped her fingers. "I dope. It's going down. You know we need us a ladies' night before school starts back up." Gabby spoke with excitement in her voice. Susie rolled her eyes, saying, "Ugh, school. Don't remind me." The girls heard a gunshot, which sounded like it was in one of the parking lots on Pacoima Street. They watched some of the neighbors run towards the noise to see what happened. Miranda said, "These people are ballsy as fuck to hear gunshots and run toward it so quickly. Like, at least take precaution, but nah, all just to have the cheeseman first and shit." Gabby laughed. She said, "For reals, people don't think things through. I get making sure people are okay, but we all know that ain't what these chismosas are about." Just then, Denise came running up. She sat down and panted as she insisted, "I was here the whole time." Susie responded, "Of course you were." Gabby asked, "Where's your roll dog?" Denise answered, "He's home chilling. He's been there the whole time too." Isala laughed and said, "Sounds good. But seriously, are you okay?" Denise, still slightly panting, replied, "No, yeah, I'm good. It's just, shit was crazy, man. I was in Mamacita's car looking for my iPod under the seat, and Clever was throwing some trash away from the car, right? Something told me look up. I saw a dude with the bandana over his face walking towards Clever. I grabbed the strap and got on my belly, and sure enough, he pulled out a cohete. So I shot him in the arm that he was holding the cohete. I threw the strap under the seat, locked the door, and we ran. I told all the nosy fucks running toward me as I ran, 'Run! He has a gun!' To take eyes off of us. I signaled for Clever to go home. I figured it'd be best if we split up for a while." Gabby asked, "Why didn't you shoot him in the head?" Denise responded, "Because it's broad daylight, so I just thought I'd give him a warning shot in case someone was watching." Gabby nodded her head as she said, "Fair enough." Denise asked, "What was the topic before I rudely interrupted?" Gabby handed Denise the flyer, asking, "You want to roll with us?" Denise read it. She knew her best friend Clever couldn't go because he was a cholito who stood out like a sore thumb, and they might end up fighting. Denise handed the flyer back, saying, "Nah, I think I got some family shit that day." About 25 minutes later, two police officers walked up to the group of girls. One of the cops inquired, "Good evening. Have you ladies been out here long?" Miranda replied, "Yes, sir, for about an hour now." The cop then asked, "Have you heard any gunshots since you've been out here?" Miranda insisted, "Yeah, I heard one shot and seen people running toward it, so we just sat here keeping an eye in that direction to be sure the shooter didn't come in." "Which he didn't. Why, what happened?" The cop replied, "We got called out about a shot fired, but haven't found a victim or a suspect. Did you see anyone come in who appeared to be shot?" Susie answered, "Sorry, officer, no one has passed by us other than these kids on the bikes." The cops thanked the ladies for their cooperation and wished them a good night. The ladies said goodnight to the officers. They reignited a conversation. Susie reignited a conversation with the ladies. A few minutes later, Denise thought out loud, saying, I wonder if that fool hopped in a car with someone or what? Because if so, that means they probably saw who Clever and I are. Dang, I wonder if he's going to go to the hospital or let it heal like nothing. Susie agreed. She said, I know, huh? He had to have come in a car if the cops haven't found a victim. Man, I bet his homies are going to be clowning his ass about this. The ladies giggled and agreed. Denise jumped up, saying, Well, I think I'm in the clear, so I'm going to go to Clever's pad. I'll see you guys later. The ladies all said bye to Denise. They hung out in the jungles for another 10 minutes before a group of youngsters from the neighborhood walked up to join them. The guys greeted the ladies with handshakes, then found themselves seated on a bench close to where the ladies were sitting. One of the guys, who went by the name of Young Creeps, called Miranda over to where the guys were sitting. Knowing what he wanted, she reached in her bra and pulled out a sack of weed. Miranda stood up and walked over to the youngster who called her. She lifted her chin, asking, What's up, young creeps? The youngster asked Miranda for a 20 sack of weed. Miranda exchanged the weed for the money in a simple handshake. Young Creep said, Good looking now, homegirl. Miranda nodded her head, replying, Simone. She walked back to the ladies. Miranda said, Since I'm up, I think I'm going to just go home. Susie said, Okay, Ma, well, we'll see you tomorrow. Miranda replied, For sure, as she hugged Susie. She went down the line to embrace each of the ladies. Miranda turned to the guys and said, Good night, mocosos. The guys all said good night to Miranda. When Miranda got home, she told Miguel about the flyer party. He said, Flyer party, huh? You should go. Have fun, little mama. Miranda replied, Well, I mean, it sounds fun and all, but I was kind of hoping to kick it with you. I haven't seen you in ages. Miguel said, I know, it feels like that, huh, baby girl? I'm sorry I haven't been around much the last few weeks, but holidays keep coming up. I have a chance to make an easy 50 G's this weekend. When opportunities like this come along, I gotta jump on it. Miranda scrunched her lips together and shifted them to the left, then smirked as she raised her shoulders and asked, Well, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? Miguel responded, I mean, I don't have to, but I did arrange the deal already, plus it's a quick vacay and payday. I want to make as much money as I can while I can, to have a stash for you guys. You want to go with me and check out the scene while I handle biz? Miranda asked. Where are you going and for how long? Oregon. I hear there's beautiful scenery out there, snow and shit. I'll be leaving mañana, and I'll be back home by Sunday in la noche. Miguel answered. Miranda gave Miguel a blank stare for a second before responding with an attitude. The hell kind of vacation? You're pretty much driving there and back. Nah, I'm straight. I guess I'll kick back here. Miguel laughed. He said, Well, it's more like a change of scenery, you know? Okay, mama, suit yourself. If you don't go with me, I think you should go to the party with your homegirls and have fun. And when I get back, I'll take you to dinner or bowling or anything that you want to do. Miranda nodded in agreement. She scrunched her shoulders, then said, Yeah, fuck it. I guess I will. The next day, Miranda met up with Susie and Gabby by the automatic gate near the corner of Glen Oaks Boulevard and Pacoima Street. She told them that she would be able to make it to the party after all. Susie said in excitement, Yay! Woo! Does that mean that we could roll up in the Pimpala instead of the ghetto-ass soccer mom van? I mean, unless we're rolling mad deep. Miranda replied, Well, count heads and keep me posted. Either way, I'll drive. That way you can party. Susie excitedly said, Oh, hell yeah, that's firme, loca. I'll get a head count as soon as possible. Friday night came. Gabby and Lori knocked on Susie's screen door. Susie shouted, It's for me, Ma. I'm going to bounce. And don't wait up for me. Lisa said, okay, mija, cuídate, por favor. Susie kissed her mom on the cheek as she passed her by in the living room. I will, mommy. I love you, Susie told her mom. Lisa replied, love you too, mijita. Wearing a light pink, skin-tight, long-sleeve dress, Susie opened the door to greet the ladies. She said, ¿Qué hubo, mis baby dolls? Let's roll. The girls walked down the stairs. They began walking over to Miranda's house. They didn't get too far before Bouncer, one of the local neighborhood cholos, noticed the ladies. Bouncer was with a young woman who came with her girlfriends to hang out with the guys from the neighborhood. Bouncer completely interrupted his conversation to ask Susie, Where the fuck you think you're going dressed like that? Susie walked up to give him a big hug. As she did so, she replied, We're meeting at Miranda's, then off to a flyer party. He sounded offensive as he asked, You're going to be walking in the streets dressed like that? Susie smiled as she shifted her eyes side to side with a look of feeling awkward written on her face. She lifted her arms in a shrug, replying, Yeah? I don't want to drive over there, get drunk, and drive back. Why? Bouncer asked, Are you strapped? Susie replied with a giggle, Nuh-uh. Bouncer said, Nah, man, I can't have you walking the streets dressed like that. It's not safe. I'm going to have to get you a little cuete that you can carry in your purse, sis. Susie knew Bouncer wasn't crazy for being concerned. Rapes and murders happen just about every day in Pacoima. Still, Susie held in her laugh as she replied, It's just right up the street, carnal. It'll be fine. Bouncer replied, Look, just please be safe. As a matter of fact, Bouncer pulled out a small handgun. He handed it to Susie as he insisted, Take this, and call me when you get to Miranda's, then call me when you get your ass home. I don't care what time it is, just call me. Susie took the gun, made sure the safety was on, and then fit it in her handbag. She gave Bouncer another hug, followed by a kiss on the cheek. She said, I'll text you. I love you, and you be safe too, carnal. As the ladies walked away, Bouncer very seriously said, Man, I'm gonna cop you a cuete for reals though. Without looking back at Bouncer, Susie threw her left hand in the air, signaling thumbs up. Bouncer looked at the girl who he was previously talking to and shrugged as he said, Sisters. Bouncer was a firme camarada of mine. We smashed together for days. When I passed away, he stood at my casket and promised that he would always keep a close eye on mi familia and treat them as his own. He stayed true to his promise. He has maintained a good relationship with both my jefita and hermanita. The ladies continued to Miranda's house. Susie called when they were at the corner to ask Miranda to open the door. Miranda told them to go through the side gate, which led to the backyard. Isela was already in the yard rolling a blunt. The ladies walked to the backyard. They took turns greeting Isela with hugs and kisses. They all sat down around the table under the balcony. As Isela lit the blunt, Susie anxiously said, Shit! I forgot to bring my Visine. You know them stoner red eyes ain't attractive at all. Isela passed the blunt to her left. She then pulled a little bottle out of her purse. She threw it over to Susie. Susie said, Oh, hell yeah, good looking now, mujer. Giving a little wink, Isela said, Don't even trip. The blunt and the Visine both made their way around the table. Over at the party house, Stella's party crew was all set up and ready to throw their backyard flyer party. Tanya had just finished posting all of the info on the party lines. The ladies of the party crew huddled up. They decided who would be working which shifts for the night. They would be taking shifts in groups of 2. No matter what, 2 ladies would be at the door collecting the money and patting down the ladies. 2 guys would be with them to pat down the guys. 2 ladies would be working the go-go boxes. 2 ladies at the Nas tank. And 2 ladies would be at the bar at all times. When they weren't working at a station, they got to party it up with their guests. After the meeting, one of the ladies from the party crew shouted out their crew name. Stylish Stunners! They all cheered out. Stylish Stunners! The ladies laughed around for a bit before heading to their workstations. Isela and the girls were all pretty much ready. They chilled at Miranda's house for a little bit before they left. They touched up their hair and makeup. By 9:45 p.m., the ladies were jumping in the car. Gabby, Lori, Susie, Isela, and Miranda rolled up to the party looking beautiful. They walked to the front of the line, where they were greeted at the gate with mad love from Stella and Tanya. They were welcomed in and told to have fun. Stella knew all of the ladies who came with her cousin Isela. Whenever Isela's family would have gatherings, Isela's friends always came over to hang out and eat. Stella often brought some of her friends to family functions too, including Tanya. A young female waiting in line to get in shouted, "Oh, 'cause there's not a line or what? Why didn't you search those bitches, but we all gotta wait to get searched?" Susie looked to see who shouted that. The girl was mad-dogging Susie. Susie gave a crooked smile to the girl, then kept walking. Tanya spoke up, saying, "Hey, we're all here to have a good night, but you don't have to be here. You can leave." The girl rolled her eyes and stayed in line. The ladies were impressed when they got to the backyard. The dance floor was big, extended past the porch. There were 2 go-go boxes set up on the dance floor outside of the porch. The DJ had a dope lighting set and DJ system. Some of the ladies in the crew were serving liquor and beer at the bar. Beside the bar, there were 2 ladies with the Nas tank. Miranda walked straight to the dance floor and started dancing to the music. The other ladies walked over to the bar. After getting their drinks, they met Miranda on the dance floor. The girl who had made the remark out by the gate walked in with her friends. She scanned the yard immediately, looking for Susie. When she spotted Susie, she snarled her lip and gave Susie a dirty look. Susie was too busy having fun to notice. Some guys walked into the yard shouting out their party crew name. Following their call, Stella's crew shouted their party crew name out loud. The guys and ladies went back and forth shouting their party crew names a couple of times. It was all in good fun. Gabby's brother Dennis walked in with his friends. Lori spotted him and tapped Gabby, then pointed to Dennis with her lips. Gabby looked over to her brother. When they caught eyes, they both lifted their heads to say, "What's up?" The party was active. People were scattered around the yard, enjoying the music. Some folks had cups at hand filled with beer or liquor. Some had balloons filled with Nas. Some had blunts filled with weed, while some gente had all of the above. There were females taking turns dancing seductively with each other on the go-go boxes. The DJ played dope music all night. Now and again, the different party crews took turns seeing who can shout their crew's name out the loudest. Susie and her friends were having a good time. They mostly danced with each other in a group. Now and again, the ladies would dance with the guy who would ask. Susie walked back to the bar for a refresher. The guy standing next to Susie recognized her from middle school. They crushed on each other then. He tapped on Susie's shoulder. She looked up to see who it was. It didn't take long for her to recognize him. She smiled. In excitement, she shouted, "Oh my goodness, David, how are you?" They gave each other a big hug. He said, "I've been good, girl. How you been?" They engaged in small chit-chat before David offered to pay for her drink. They grabbed their drinks and walked toward the back of the yard, where the music wasn't as loud. Miranda glanced over now and again to make sure Susie was fine. Judging by the huge smile on Susie's face, she felt there was no reason to worry. Susie and David showed complete interest in wanting to catch up on each other's lives until that point. They both agreed that they thought of and missed each other. The song "Look Out Weekend" by Debbie Deb began to play. Susie put her arms in the air, snapped her fingers, and started swaying her body as she said, "Ooh, that's my song. Let's dance." David nodded yes. They walked over to the dance floor. Susie walked up to her friends and started dancing with David. The girl who had been giving Susie the bad looks decided that she would keep pushing Susie with her butt and hips as she danced wildly. Eventually, she stepped on Susie's foot with her left high heel. Susie grabbed the girl's leg before she could move her foot away. Susie shoved her by the leg. The girl caught her balance, then grabbed Susie by the hair and socked her in the face. She had a grip on Susie's hair. Susie's face was toward the ground. She lifted her arms to take some swings at the girl. With her fists, Susie could feel the girl's face at every swing. One of the girl's friends was about to take a swing at the back of Susie's head. Miranda pushed her, shouting, "One-on-one, bitch!" Miranda angrily looked the girl up and down. The girl didn't say a word, nor did she make a move. Susie and her opponent made their way to the floor. Tanya caught wind of the fight going on. Tanya ran up to the rumble and broke it up. David reached for Susie and picked her up. He and all the girls asked Susie if she was okay. Susie quickly nodded yes. Tanya precisely knew what happened when she saw who the other girl was. Tanya told the girl and her friends they had to leave the party. Some of the ladies from the party crew escorted them out. The girl was complaining the whole way out and wondering why Susie didn't have to leave too. Tanya asked Susie, "You good, Mama?" Susie felt around at her face. She replied, "Yeah, I'm good, mujer." Tanya nodded her head and walked away. All of the girls showed concern for Susie. She told them, "I'm cool. Keep having fun. I'm going to step away for a breather." David walked Susie off the dance floor. As he did, David asked, "Damn, could that girl make it any more obvious that she straight up hated on you?" Susie smirked. She replied, "From the gate, literally." Susie combed out her hair with her fingers. She asked David how she looked. David said, "Gorgeous as ever." Susie said, "I'm so embarrassed that just went down in front of you. Like, my bad, for reals." David shook his head side to side as he replied, "Nah, don't be embarrassed. It wasn't even your fault. Now, if she mopped you up, I could see you being embarrassed, but damn, you put in work on that girl's face." Susie smiled, asking, "For reals? I did?" David said, "Hell yeah. All she did was mess up your hair a little, but she walked away bleeding." Susie said in a sad tone, "Oh, she did?" Susie quickly switched it up with a smile, saying, "Well, I guess that's what she gets. Anyway, enough about an unimportant subject matter. I want to hear more about you. Why didn't you go to the high with us?" David and Susie stood there and talked. About an hour had passed. Miranda walked up, saying it was about that time to leave. Susie nodded at her and put her finger up, gesturing just a sec. David said, "I enjoyed catching up with you, Susie. Is it okay to have your number and keep in touch?" Susie gave David her phone number. They gave each other a tight hug as they wished each other good night. Both of them walked away smiling. The ladies drove about 4 blocks away before Gabby's phone began to ring. It was one of her brother's friends. He said, "Dude, Dennis blacked out again. The cops rolled up and the homies shook the spot with the quickness. Can you come get us?" Gabby had her hand over her eyes, shaking her head. She said, "I'll be right there." Gabby told Miranda what happened. They turned the car around and went back to the party. The cops pulled off as Miranda got there. "Do you need help, Ma?" Susie asked. "Nah, I got this," Gabby replied. Susie declared, "I'll go anyways." The ladies hopped off the car and walked to the backyard. Susie spotted Stella, then shouted, "Great party, baby girl." Stella laughed out. "Yeah, so I heard. You okay?" Stella asked Susie. Susie nodded. "Yeah, I am. That was so random. But Gabby's brothers passed out in the bathroom, though, so we came back to pick them up." Stella's eyes widened. She looked over to Gabby, asking, "Oh, he's your brother? Homeboy scared the crap out of me. He hit the ground so hard, I think he might have a concussion." Stella gestured her hand from the ladies to follow her. Stella led the ladies to the bathroom. Gabby's brother had begun to come too, but he was completely zoned out. He had a look of confusion on his face when Gabby called to him. Dennis's friend Joey was in the bathroom with him. Joey confessed. He passed out right as the cops got here. Everyone we came with booked it, but they didn't know Dennis passed out. The girls told me to bring him in here and lock the door. Gabby rolled her eyes as she reciprocated. This fool's such an idiot. I'm glad you stayed with him, though. Now help me take him to the car, yeah? Joey and Gabby lifted Dennis off the floor. Both Gabby and Joey threw an arm of Dennis's around each of their shoulders. Gabby thanked Stella for looking out for Dennis. They walked out to the car. On the way out, Gabby was scolding Dennis. Dude, you need to kick back with all that powder. Next time you might not be so lucky. Lori sat on Isela's lap in the back seat. Gabby put Dennis in the middle. Joey sat next to Dennis. Gabby sat up front on the passenger floor, in between Susie's legs. By the time they pulled up to the apartments, Dennis seemed fine. Gabby thanked Miranda for being the designated driver. We'll see you tomorrow, yeah? Gabby asked Miranda. Miranda replied, Yeah, Mom, most likely. Susie said, Andale, drive safe. Have a good night, baby girl. They all wished Miranda a good night. Everybody got off of the car as they walked onto the sidewalk. They all wished each other a good night and split up. The next day, Gabby brought Dennis breakfast to his room. He sat up to eat. Gabby sat on the edge of his bed. How does your head feel? She asked. It's okay. It's kind of throbbing, though, Dennis replied. Concerned, Gabby insisted. You know, you scare me every time you do that stuff. I swear. I think to myself, oh my gosh, is this it? Is this the last time he's going to OD? Do I got to be the one to break the news to Mom? Or do I get to have a brother for another day? Dennis pressed his lips together as he listened. Gabby continued, Next time, it might not be a hit to your head. It might be a hit to my heart. I love you, carnal. Take it easy, huh? Dennis nodded. Thanks for breakfast, sis, was all Dennis could manage to say. With her notebook in hand, Gabby kissed Dennis on the forehead and walked out. Gabby walked toward the benches to smoke a morning bowl. Isela was on the steps outside of her apartment. She spotted Gabby walking. Isela whistled. Gabby walked over to Isela, who was blazing with her neighbor Johnny, also known as Grims. Gabby walked up, greeting them both with a good morning. In sync, they greeted her back. Good morning. Gabby said, I was just headed to the jungles to blaze a bowl. Isela said, Well, here, hit this. They finished the weed that was in Isela's mini bubbler. Isela asked Gabby how her brother was feeling. Gabby answered, He says he's okay. I just left him at the pad. Isela said, Good, man. I swear that fool has more lives than a freaking kitty cat. Gabby smirked, saying, You ain't lying. Gabby reached over for the bubbler. She packed another bowl. Those couple of bowls had them feeling faded. Gabby asked Isela and Grims what they were going to get into later in the day. Grimm said he was going to hang out with the guys from his tagging crew up the street. One of his friends was throwing a kickback. In a feisty tone, Isela asked Grims, Oh yeah, 'cause we don't want to go to a kickback, huh? Grimm snapped his lips as he said, You already know you guys are welcome to roll up. Isela said, I was only teasing you. I'm going to go to a family function in a few. You guys are welcome to join me too. Gabby asked Isela, Oh yeah? Where's this going to be at? Isela pointed her lips toward the south, saying, Allá in East LA. Gabby shook her head. I'm straight. I think I'm going to stick around here. Isela said, It's all good. I'm anxious to go and see a couple of my cousins. It's been a cool-ass minute since I've seen some of them. Gabby asked, What is the get-together for? Isela replied, They're having a coming-of-age ceremony for two of my little cousins. After the ceremony, we'll throw them a little fiesta. Gabby said, Oh, no way. That's what's up, Mamash. I love that you guys keep the traditions going in your family. Isela responded, We try. Some more than others. I mean, you see it. There are a lot of traditional activities still going on these days, but you got religious natives who refuse to participate. Then you got the teenagers like us who should be continuing to learn and practice the ways and traditions. But we rather mess around and kick it with the homies. Most of us keep going in and out. It's just so much easier to be messing up in this Western world than to be on a straight spiritual path. Like, I know I'm not ready for all that right now. Gabby agreed. I feel you. At least you acknowledge it. Now, as a teenager, I don't usually get involved with our ceremonial gatherings like before, but I feel like I'd be disrespecting my nation if I'm not walking the red road, yet still going to ceremonies after sipping on a beer or something, you know? But I know one day soon I will walk the red road again. I guess we'll get there when we're ready, yeah? Isela smirked and nodded yes, as she said, I'm not gonna lie, I love our culture and traditions. But the everyday corrupt city life that's forced on us to live out here is what easily separates me from the ways I should embrace. This modern Western way of life completely disconnects us from the natural world. But yes, when we're ready, it will come easier, you know? When I stop kicking it with all you horrible influences. Gabby laughed. She said, yeah, right. Because you weren't the one who smoked me out for my first time or nothing back in middle school, huh? Isala replied, fuck, I did, huh? Man, those were the good old days, too. Isela asked Gabby, colonialism aside, if weed, alcohol, and money weren't an issue, would you do more things with your nation? Gabby said, absolutely, I would. Culture has had a positive influence on my views and my music. I know one day I'll give back, but I'm more interested in finishing school to do massage and music right now. Just then, Isela's family walked out of their apartment. Isela's dad, Andy, wore creased blue Levi's, a creased black button up long sleeve dress shirt with white and turquoise ribbons, and some black leather boots. He had his black hair long and pulled back into a braid. He wore a black bandana around his forehead, tied behind his head just below the ponytail of his braid. Isela's mom, Grace, wore a long white skirt, a beautiful turquoise blouse, and some white leather sandals. The ties of the sandals wrapped up and crisscrossed above the ankles. Grace wore turquoise earrings with a matching necklace. She wore her dark brown hair down, which sat just above her butt, wavy and thick. Isela's older brother Gil dressed like a rocker. He had long hair too, but he wore it in like a higher ponytail on the mid back of his head. He shaved the sides and the back of his head. Isela's baby brother Mikey dressed just like his dad. The only difference was Mikey refused to have long hair due to all the teasing and fights at school. He had a fade. Isela said, well, I guess that's my cue. I'll see you guys later. Isela shook Grim's hand. She stood up and hugged Gabby. Isela walked over to her mom's car. Grims told Gabby, I'm gonna shake the spot too. I'll catch you al rato. Gabby replied, Orale. Then she shook Grim's hand. Grims jetted down the stairs. He headed over to his girlfriend's apartment. Gabby took a stroll through the apartments. She loved the feeling of walking around in the morning. She walked over to the jungles. Gabby sat down on a bench. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and smiled as she exhaled. She opened her eyes and then turned to a blank page in her notebook. Without hesitation, Gabby began to write a song. So that's it for chapter 3. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next one. Al rato.